Hi, I'm Rich Light, and I'm going to introduce today our new EVO paint correction and polishing system. Today we're going to talk about one of our new heavy cuts and one of our new cut finish polishes. And we've cut down the paint correction steps from 2 to 3 steps down to 1 to 2 steps. And we're going to talk about the benefits of the new EVO Cut Plus 1000 and the new 2000 cut finish. Now these polishes are unique because they work efficient, they work fast, they have zero dusting, and they remove imperfections with less effort than the original Evolution polish. And this is our new system that we're developing today with the new EVO 21 dual action polisher. Now, as you can see in front of me, I have one of our Gloss-It training displays, and we use this to train people on how to get a perfect finish. Now, this paint that's on this hood was painted with a specific type of harder clear coat on like your new European Porsches, Mercedes, BMWs, and some of the new Corvettes that you see on the street. Now, this polisher is going to be the most effective, and I'm going to show you a pattern product combination to remove these deep imperfections that you can actually see in a black finish. And as we all know, black is the toughest to keep clean, maintain, and fix when it gets damaged. So we're going to go ahead today and do, as you can see, I've taken a yellow or an orange piece of masking tape. I've masked it down the middle here because what I want to do is a 50-50 shot. I want to show you a before and after of one cut and one finish to get to a perfect finish. And these products, now the Gloss Enhancer Quick Detailer is going to assist me to clean up in between steps to make sure that I'm removing any residual polish and I'm removing the imperfections, I'm not hiding the imperfections. So let's go ahead and get started and go over the pattern product combination to make this black hood look like a piece of glass. Today we're going to go over one of our pattern product combinations, and we call this a repair and restore step on this black hood that you see, which is one of our training tools for our Gloss-It Academy. We're going to start off with our 1000 Cut Plus. Now this is a new EVO polish by Gloss-It we've been working on the last few years to accommodate the new conventional, what we call scratch resistant clear coat finishes, which means it's a harder clear coat. And that harder clear coat represents a harder time removing imperfections. So I've been working in product development on a new mechanical abrasive that works like a self-diminishing abrasive, but doesn't leave your typical marring or hazing behind on a black finish like you've seen with the original EVO line. So let's go ahead and first identify the scratches. Now, if you look closely at this hood, this is a black hood. And a black hood typically will be a harder surface to get that perfect finish. And a lot of people know, if you ever wax or polish your car, that this is one of the hardest colors because it reflects the more light off the surface than any other car or dark color finish. But we're going to teach you today how to do a paint correction, a repair and restore step on this hood in 2 steps. Gloss-It has now released its own dual action polisher. We call this the EVO 21. This dual action polisher has a 21mm throw to it, or orbit. That orbit is going to give you more cut and more finish. So it's going to look a little bit faster than your typical polishers in the market that offer 4 to 8mm throw, or orbit. As you can see, we've got the EVO Cut Plus here and the gray wool pad. Now this gray wool pad is an aggressive pad that works well with the Cut Plus. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach the 6.5 inch gray wool pad to our backing plate. And you want to make sure that you've got it centered on here evenly as we attach it. As you can see, the pad has a pretty soft consistency. Don't be fooled by this because this is a pretty aggressive pad. Not too aggressive that it's going to burn the paint, but aggressive enough that it's going to remove these imperfections. Typically, I put a lot more product on the wool pad because wool absorbs more material. So I'm going to go ahead and apply and show you the amount of product I'm going to apply to the pad. Okay. Now typically I wouldn't put this much product onto a foam pad. I would only use this much product on our wool pad because we want to get enough product to the surface to remove those imperfections. On the dual action EVO 121 polisher, we have a speed control that goes from 1 to 6 on the dial. Now, when we start off on a small area, we always want to work a small 2x2 square area to get our coverage of the product first before we start working the product to remove the imperfections. Now, the speed that I recommend on the dial would be probably a speed 3. And this is so I can get my coverage in the area that I'm going to pull out these imperfections. Now we're going to go ahead and start up the machine, and I'm going to make a few passes to get my product coverage first. Now what's important to note here is that you're probably wondering if I'm applying any pressure to the head of the machine. And I'm applying maybe 5 to 10 pounds of pressure just to keep this level on the machine. You can notice I'm not leaning to the right or the left. I want to keep it as flat as possible. Now I've got my coverage. I'm going to go ahead on the speed dial and I'm going to go and increase to speed 5. Now if you watch, I use a small overlapping stroke or pattern across the surface, so I give the pad and the product enough time to remove the imperfections. When we're polishing or just finishing, we can use a faster motion, not the speed of the machine, but the motion of the machine. Is I like to make a few passes first and work the product into the surface. As you can see, there's no powdering, the product is still wet on the surface. This is important. When a product dries too quick, it can introduce more imperfections or marring into the finish. As you can see, the product's still wet. And one of the keys in doing paint correction is using our Gloss Enhancer Quick Detail Spray to clean the residual polish off the hood in between steps. And I'm using one of our super plush edgeless microfiber towels. And now this towel is pretty clean. You always want to inspect your towels to make sure no debris is caught in the towel, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and clean the residual polish off the surface to see if we remove the imperfections or we need to polish a little bit more. Now when I look into the paint finish, you can see the marring that the pad caused, but that's no worries because when we go to the finish cut step with the foam pad, that's going to remove any marring that was introduced by the wool pad to take out the deeper scratches. One thing I want to demonstrate is not always how much product you use, it's how you work the product. And with Gloss-It, less is more. So in the old school thinking is the more product I use, the better results I get. So what I want to do is demonstrate with the EVO Polisher. As you can see, there's still residual polish in this pad, okay? And one of the things that the techniques that we show is that I'm not going to add more product, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit of Gloss Enhancer on the surface, and that's going to reactivate the polish that's still in the pad to allow me to work longer. Now this is a benefit, is when you use too much product, you waste product, you cause more time, and this is a technique that I highly recommend. So let's go ahead and start polishing again. Typically, I like to make 3 to 4 passes and then inspect my area. As you can see, I'm working a small 2x2 square. I'm now going to take my blue microfiber edgeless towel and my Gloss Enhancer, and as you can still see, there's no powdering. It's still working wet. So this is going to work clean. So we're going to go ahead and use the Gloss Enhancer and our blue towel, and we're going to remove the residual polish. Now as you can see, the polish removes pretty quick. There's not a lot of effort in removing the residual polish on here. Now, when I'm looking into the paint, I'm looking for the deep imperfections that are in the finish, and that are they removed or are they still there? And as you can see, there's a lot of deep imperfections on the before side. And the after side, with the first step with the 1000 cut plus and our gray wool pad, it's removed a good 80% of those deep scratches. But as you can see, there's some residual marring and hazing caused from the heavy cut from the 1000. Not going to be a problem. We're going to go to our new EVO Cut Finish 2000. Now this is what we call a moderate finishing polish in the EVO line. This is a great polish that will remove any kind of light swirls or hazing or towel marks from the car wash. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to use our 6.5-inch pad, polishing foam pad, to remove the residual marring that we caused from taking out the deeper imperfections. As you can see with the new EVO line, we've color matched the polish to the pad, so it's a plug and play situation, and when you go to approach us, you know which pad and product that you need to use with the EVO 21. So let's go ahead and move to the second step. I'm going to go ahead and attach to the EVO 21 dual action polisher. As you can see, the pad will fit perfectly to the 6-inch backing plate. You want to make sure it's securely on. And as you can see, the Velcro is attached. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a few small beads of the EVO Cut Finish 2000 to the pad. Now, this doesn't look like a lot of product, but this product is very efficient, it works very fast, it has no dusting, and it works very wet. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and put the EVO 21 down on the surface. And you always want to make sure when you're polishing, before you start the machine, you want to make sure you adjust on the speed dial to a speed 3, like we did the first step, to get your coverage first. And we're going to work a small 2x2 square area. What I like to do is work, 3 or 4 passes, working the polish thoroughly into the paint. When you're working the machine, you want to make sure not just the speed of the machine. Now we've got our coverage in 3, we're going to go ahead and increase it to speed 5 on the dial. Now we're going to make an additional 3 or 4 passes with, I would say, 8 to 10 pounds of pressure. Now with this 21mm throw or orbit of this machine, it works very smooth and efficient. So you don't need to apply a lot of pressure, just enough pressure to keep the pad on the surface with the product. Now I like to demonstrate how clean and efficient the Cut Finish 2000 is. So when I go to wipe the panel, most times you need a quick detail to remove the residual polish, but as you can see, this wipes off with little to no effort. As you can see, between the before and the after, this has produced a swirl-free surface, and there's no marring, there's no hazing. It looks like glass, and now we're ready to protect it with one of our Gloss-It LSPs or our new Signature Series Paste Wax.